Welcome to Hood Champion Boxing and Sports. In boxing, you find a way to win or you find a way to lose. Boxing chaos every day. There's something else going on, but it's entertaining, and these athletes deserve to be spoken about. The good, the bad, and the ugly. You know what I'm saying? Look, man, Adrian Broner. Let me just say this. Round of applause to AB. Getting back on his feet, and you can see that Adrian Broner seems to be a bit happier. One thing about what Adrian Broner has done since he's hooked up with Dean the Great, he's been able to, I think, do a lot of healing, man. Now, everybody who's spoken about Adrian Broner over the past few years, you know, we all talk about how great he was as a fighter, but we all, talked about him and the Marcus Maidana fight and how, we felt that affected him as a fighter, which it did, in my opinion. But when you listen to him, since he's been doing these live streams with Dean the Great, I think a lot of people, man, kind of empathizing with him, and feeling sorry for him and understanding him more. Some people have a bit of guilt because they felt like, damn, we were kind of hard on him, but the man has a lot going on. When he talked about, losing the coach who trained him since he was 6 years old, it kind of gives you that kind of Mike Tyson feel with Mike and Customato. You could tell Broner can't really talk about him. I think his name is Mike Stafford. And Broner would become emotional. So for me, I have a different outlook on AB. Of course, it'll have nothing to do with the fight with Maidana. Maidana just beat him. But just understanding where he's at mentally and giving me a better understanding of seeing the way he behaves, you know what I'm saying? But the bottom line is, when it comes to AB, not many people in boxing or any sport have possessed his combination of charisma, talent, speed, reflexes, and star power. And that's why he has turned into this streaming sensation, because he still has it. Kind of crazy, man. He's funny. He's entertaining. You may not like what he's doing, but he's likable. And that's what I always talk about. You could be the villain. You could say Adrian Broner's a villain, but he's a likable villain. And that's when you got people who want to see the villain win, then you got something special. Now, I'll tell you this. I know there may have been some legal issues and stuff like that going on with him, but you could tell that Broner appreciates having loyal people by his side and in his circle, and the Broner's fans appreciate seeing Broner having loyal people in the circle. You know what I'm saying? But the same way they're glad to see Broner bouncing back and having that loyalty around him and to see him smile, there's the same people who are like, all right, we've been following Broner throughout a lot of his career. Let's not take it to the stupid and get super excited about what we're seeing, because we understand what the alcohol did to this man. We understand what the excessive partying did to this man. We understand what the money did to this man. It's not flushing money down the toilet. You know what I'm saying? We understand what the negative influences and lack of consistency can do to him. We need him to be consistent, positive influences, ease up on the partying, and just cut out the alcohol, period. Just totally alleviate the consumption of alcohol. That seems to be his Achilles heel. And I understand that, because with this streaming, we're going to see a Broner, if his greatest opponent, right? If his greatest opponent is not going to be another fighter, if it's going to be self-discipline. That may be his greatest opponent, and a fight he can't win is self-discipline. Now, I'm going to tell you, I'm rooting for him, but he seems to be in a good space. Let's see if he can continue being up, and away, like Superman, instead of up, and away. Don't underestimate the power of the handicap, like Handyman. So is Broner going to end up being a Superman, or is he going to end up being a handyman? And I can tell you for myself and his supporters, they want to see him surrounded by people who encourage structure business opportunities and long-term financial stability. And he seems to have that there. Seems to be a lot of stuff floating around, whether it's a Netflix deal with him and Dean the Great, 20 million here, a little something. Seems to be a lot of money floating around AB. But at the same time, the negative influences. They get the money right, cool. But what about the influences? What about the temptations? What about self-discipline? It's more to come on AB, but it seems to be going the right direction. Just got to tweak shit along the way, man, to remain on the straight and narrow and get that goddamn money. Now, Claressa Shields and internet fatigue. People are tired about Claressa. They're just tired of Claressa Shields. You know what I'm saying? All these internet battles, that shit done nothing but hurt her. She and Aruba, she talking about makeup. Papoose and her in Aruba at a casino. Her friend, Nigeria, exposing text messages with Claressa wanting people to lie on certain content creators. Another content creator exposed something on their burner account that many people believe is Claressa Shields. Mad because some child's mom said something about her outfit, and she went into one of the child's pages, one of their accounts, threatening the child and scaring the child, and just being an animal towards them. Let me tell you something, man. I understand the argument that social media allows athletes to control their narratives, but I also understand that, constant controversy eventually overwhelms accomplishments. And that's where she's at. You know what I'm saying? Regardless of where people stand, most agree that Shields remains one of the most accomplished fighters in women's boxing history, and we can always touch on that. But you got to just be real, man, because those people who don't care about that shit no more, they're going to argue that recent headlines, as a matter of fact, going back, I'd say a year, they just overshadow any discussions about her boxing achievements, because you don't know what she has going on now, what she's doing in the future. She has 3 fights left on her contract. Who's she going to fight? She's either want to fight Daniel Perkins, who to me is the person who she should rematch, give her an opportunity, because Perkins is getting better, big and strong, and Claressa sounds like she's afraid of her. She sounds like shit. I got her when she wasn't polished, when she wasn't a threat. Now she's a threat. I ain't getting in there with her, because Claressa doesn't want to lose and deal with that embarrassment. That's the last thing Claressa Shields needs. She already come out here talking about how the internet's attacking her and attacking her man, and she doesn't need nobody from her inside circle doing the same thing. Claressa can't afford to lose at all. People think it's bad right now, how the internet is with her. If she were to lose, it'd be all she wrote. This conversation about Claressa and relationships, that's a common topic among fans and our lives. We talk about whatever comes up, and Claressa's name, comes up every live. But one thing we talk about is whether public disputes can damage professional relationships. I think in sports, and I just think in life, trust matters. You've got to be able to have trust. When you talk about her, promoters, network sponsors, managers, business partners, they evaluate several things like reliability, professionalism, public perception, ability to avoid unnecessary controversy. But when you think about Claressa, just us on the outside looking in, she doesn't seem to be all that reliable. She doesn't seem to be professional. The public perception is not good, and she's always involved in some unnecessary controversy. So when we sit back and debate whether the recent controversy could affect future opportunities, we agree, yes. Long-term impacts, we still believe that, although they're unknown, but we still believe that Claressa Shields and the relationship she has and just the overall display of poor attitude and behavior and poor decisions, that is going to continue to affect her long-term. And we don't believe there's anything she can do to correct that, because so much damage has been done. Now, when you think about it, it makes you wonder about her current deal with Dimitri Salita and Win Records. What they're going to do with her career. You know what I'm saying? Matchmaking seems to be a problem. You know, there's no major opponents out there anymore. Shadesha, we already know what happened with her. Hannah she's retiring. She fought Fran Sean. I mean, she don't want to fight Danielle Perkins. She could rematch Lonnie Daniels, or if it's Lanai, I apologize if I'm butchering her name. I mean, but to be real with you, man, there's no fight out there that generates significant interest. Nothing for Claressa Shields. And there's no bout that we feel is going to create any major revenue. They can say whatever they're doing in Detroit, but we're just like, we're on the outside looking in. We don't see it. You know what I mean? We don't see it. But I think women's boxing is going to continue to grow. But you know it's going to grow without Claressa Shields. You see, Jake Paul and MVP and these other promoters, they kind of understand what they're doing with their fighters. But with Jake Paul, man, he has a lot of women, and he understands the divisions. He understands making the best fight the best and building huge rivalries where they can go on and get a trilogy like what they had with Serrano and Katie Taylor. There's a lot of female fighters out there. There's a lot of women across all the divisions who have 1 or 2 belts. You just watch how Jake Paul and Nikisa do all this and start to put together these fights. But what I'm getting at is it's already starting to happen. They're starting to kind of creep into that space that Claressa Shields had occupied. You know, from the Tierra Browns, the O'Shea's, the Shaw Metcalfs, the Raquel Millers, man, the Ellie Scotts. You know, now you got, what's her name, man? Han and Carolina Ball, like they're going to get it on. I think Veer and Baumgartner are going to get it on. But the bottom line is, we're talking a lot more about these other women, and they're starting to ease into that space that Claressa once occupied. So what's going to happen with her in the future? She may try to leave Salida. She may try to leave Win Records. They may be done with her. We don't know. Because right now, it sounds like it's a match made in heaven, but when you sit back and take a look at it, I'm like, shit, boy, if they can't get her in any meaningful fights, that means she can't make no money. Especially if people decide they don't want to support her. Let me tell you something. Claressa makes 0 money if people don't buy tickets. I don't know about her having no big-time sponsorships or endorsement deals, but whenever she's done fighting, she gets paid, then she's unemployed. And that could be why she's on this internet the way she is, because this generates another means, another mode of revenue, and a way to make a little bit of money in between fights. But I'm just saying, man, overall, this is going to create a lot of challenges when trying to find career-defining matchups, because unless Claressa come down to the lighter weight divisions, she's becoming a worrying because she has nowhere to go. Now, that being said, David Benavidez and Jai Apataya continue to gain steam, man. It's horrible to see how the sanctioning bodies are doing Jai Apataya. They don't want that man to have any belt outside of his Zuffa belt at cruiserweight and his ring belt. That's it. But I'm starting to wonder, man, if David Benavidez, you know, high volume, we get it. You got a high pace, can break opponents mentally. Got a lot of pressure, forced mistakes out of fighters. But it looked to me like David Benavidez is putting duck sauce on the fried rice. Now, I know David Benavidez is a bad boy. He doesn't want to mention Jai Apataya's name. Maybe it's because the size is a major factor, the boxing IQ is elite, got the natural power. Most of us agree that fight needs to happen while they're both in their prime. But we're just taking a look at it and we're like, why won't David Benavidez just fight Jai? He's trying to fight Bivol. They were trying to fight, they had the damn WBC come out here now and is stripping the individual who Jai Apataya in deep negotiations with a fight because they're trying to force him to fight David Benavidez. They're just doing everything they can to cater to David Benavidez and to hurt Jai Apataya. But I'm telling you what I think, man. I know this is sanctioning politics, but I think David Benavidez is putting duck sauce on the fried rice. And I know the Benavidez fans can be like, come on, Hood. Nah, I'm just watching this. What you tell me this. What's the difference with what David Benavidez is doing with Apataya and what Canelo did with David Benavidez? I know Canelo's done it for a lot longer, but you tell me, what's the difference? I don't see a difference. You know what I'm saying? There's no issue here about rankings. You know what I'm saying? The promotional conflicts is a bit of an issue. Television contracts, I don't know if that's going to be a problem. Organizational obligations, that ain't a problem. What we're seeing happen here is just sanctioning politics and bullshit from Zuffa and Turkey al-Sheikh, and then all four sanctioning bodies, man. But I think they'll realize that fans want bigger fights, and this shit they're doing is dumb. And I think the sanctioning bodies just want money. That's it. They want money. But we, the fans, want to see BENAVIDEZ and Jai Apataya, the Osmoan. That's what we want to see. But talking about money, well, you know, when turkey's in the house every day is Thanksgiving, they got dough. I think TKO made like over $500 million last year. Matchroom made like, I don't know, 40 million, something like that. But the bottom line is, if somebody's making over 500 million and you're making 40, it's still really good, but there's no comparison. And that's why Shakur Stevenson, man, you know, there's a strong rumor that he left Matchroom and Eddie Hearn, and now he's over there signed to Zuffa. Supposed to be making $15 million per fight. You know what I'm saying? That's a major, major deal. Now, I don't know how many fights he agreed to, but if they're going to pay him $15 million a fight, and if he does, I don't know, if it's guaranteed money, I'd lock in like 10 fights. And Shakur just created generational wealth. You know what I'm saying? He just really locked things down. But how much longer is Zuffa Boxing going to continue to dramatically increase fighters' earnings? Is it just certain fighters? See, that's why I think a lot of people got to get in on this and get their money, you know? Because Shakur has technical brilliance. And maybe he's getting this kind of contract because he's going to be one of the company's cornerstone stars. The only question I have with Shakur Stevenson is, you know, who's he going to fight? He's over there on Zuffa. Are they going to be able to, you know, work with other fighters who have belts and work with sanctioning bodies at some point in time? You know, I don't know. But that is my question. If Shakur signed with Zuffa, who's he going to fight? How are they going to make those fights happen? Now, talking about another fight that needs to happen is Usyk must fight Ajit KABAYEL or lose his WBC strap. It's already been ordered. You know what I mean? They give him a limited negotiation with, I think, 30 days. If not, they can't make a decision in 30 days. Usyk loses the title, and KABAYEL becomes a WBC champion at heavyweight. So KABAYEL's in a great space. You know, he wants to fight Usyk, but he also understands if he doesn't want to fight me, I can't make him fight him. I can't make him fight me, so cool, just give me the title. So KABAYEL is up and away. You know what I'm saying? But I'm going to tell you this right now. Usyk's at the final stage of his career. Think about it. Why would he fight KABAYEL, who's a killer? That's all I'm asking. Why go fight a killer like that? Anyway, man, we'll see what he ends up doing. I think I said this like 2 weeks ago. I think he's gonna drop the belt. I would go and do what you want, drop them belts. But we gotta wait and see how it plays out. Now, what's interesting is if for some reason KABAYEL, if politics get involved in, I wonder if KABAYEL could end up on this Matchroom versus Queensberry rivalry. They got this 7 versus 7 that's coming up. I saw some of the names on there, but you know, names can be changed out. But if for some reason KABAYEL can't get the fight with Usyk and somehow they delay the negotiations, I wonder if KABAYEL will fight in that 7v7. I wonder. But the rivalry continues between Matchroom and Queensberry, man. The last one was kind of cool. Queensberry swept the whole thing. All their fighters won, man. But this is cool because it creates competition. It encourages meaningful fights and reduces excuses, man. And the boxing audience, you know, we really enjoyed and we responded positively. And that's what happens when you get promoters to work together. It just takes a little bit of money. Them dudes will cook for each other. You give them the right amount of money and shit. But that being said, on to something a little bit different. You know, they got this sprinter named GOUT. Y'all know who GOUT is? But he's a young sprinter, young sensation out of Australia. His times are ridiculous. He just beat Usain's Bolt 200-meter dash time. And everybody's taking notice. Everybody's talking about GOUT. You know what I'm saying? One of the most exciting young athletes in the entire sports landscape. So I just want to give him a quick shout out because a lot of y'all don't know who GOUT is. Y'all need to go look him up. GOUT. An absolute beast when it comes to sprinting. Absolute beast. Talking about somebody else who's out here beasting it, man, is Steph Curry. This man here just signed this $1.2 billion 10-year deal with the company Li Ning. You know what I'm saying? Enormous long-term deal. Billions of dollars. Steph Curry, shit. All because that man shooter damn basketball. The way he's shooting that basketball, man, it's resulted in him getting this deal. Let me tell you something, man. Athletes across combat sports look at deals like this as examples of how championships can eventually become business empires. But Steph Curry has the right what? Attitude. This man just signed a damn $1.2 billion deal. Okay, what they say about boxing. If you're a standout fighter, you have the right attitude, clean up your language, involve in the community. I'm telling you, man, those deals can be there for boxers too. But I understand it's hard. Anyway, Francis Ngannou is going to be returning in June against Rubelis Despagni. I'm probably mispronouncing his name. But it's funny, he's going to be fighting under the MVP banner. Jake Paul's banner. Now, Jake Paul and Francis Ngannou were going to fight, but Jake Paul's jaw is still messed up, so that fight may never happen. But they are putting on another event where, what's his name? I'm sorry. Francis Ngannou is supposed to be, let me see. Let me show you something. I was doing some research earlier. Where is that? Because I'm going to show you this. Francis Ngannou is supposed to be back. Yeah, right here. I know I wasn't crazy. Let me show this to you. Right here. On June 20th. So in his first fight, he didn't really wasn't really much action in it when he just fought recently. But he is going to be fighting on June 20th. That's a quick turnaround. You know what I'm saying? Now, if this is true, well, then outstanding. But again, this is shit I got off the internet. And, sometimes, man, people post bullshit. But I'm just waiting to see if there's some truth to that. But if that's the case, then I mean Francis Ngannou is back for another big payday. And then we'll see what's next if he is going to continue with the crossover thing and try to get a boxing match. But the bottom line, man, the bigger lesson here for all the fighters, whether discussing Broner, which I wish him the best of luck, Claressa, it is what it is when it comes to her. BENAVIDEZ, BENAVIDEZ need to stop putting duck sauce on the fried rice. Shakir, get your money. Usyk, just retire or do what the hell you want. But don't hold up these belts. Let these belts go if you don't want to be out here defending them. I just think the same lessons keep appearing, man, is that talent gets attention, discipline determines longevity. And Usyk has shown discipline. Shakur Stevenson, he's got the talent, he has discipline, but you got to watch his attitude and his language and how he conducts himself. Shakur is an Olympian, silver medal. But see, he talked with this fucking slang and N-word shit and just killing him. He need to kill that shit. It sounds uneducated, sounds ignorant. And I don't want to hear nobody say, oh, they're fighters. Not fuck that. You can kill people with intelligence. Lose that N-word when you're in front of them cameras, man. I think Shakur Stevenson, man, has a very high ceiling. I really do. The only thing I would tell him is clean up your language a little bit. You want to cuss in the face of another boxer, we get it. We kind of get a pass on that. That's like comedian making jokes about race religion and politics. You kind of get a pass. But that N-word shit, I just wish you would stop. They're just stepping on their own feet and they're just killing themselves, man. You know? So it is what it is. The fighters who stay focused, avoid unnecessary distractions, maintain strong relationships, and keep winning are usually the ones who are still thriving a decade later. You know why? Because it takes discipline and the right attitude. That being said, man, y'all keep cool up in the breeze.